In the good old days, accountants used to track their accounts in heavy paper books, used tape, calculators, and did all that manually. Sales reps would track their client contact details in their personal notebooks. Today, we have our smartphones and so many other ways to track contacts. However, surprisingly, a lot of companies still don't have a single place where they store all their client data so that it's easily accessible. In this episode of the CRM 101 series, I will talk about account and contact management. I will cover the basics of account and contact management, terminology of the topic, my opinion on when it's best to implement account and contact management, what decisions you need to make before implementing it in your company, and finally, I'll share a demo of how accounts and contacts look in the CRM system. My name is Jeff Tiley, and I'm a full-time consultant and technology evangelist. This is an episode of the CRM 101 series where I explain the basics of CRM. If you are in the beginning of your research considering implementing CRM or even a seasoned CRM professional, this video is absolutely for you, because I will be sharing evergreen fundamentals that won't change with the technology. While features and platforms come and go, these principles will stay relevant for years to come. You will gain knowledge that will help you make critical business decisions, knowledge that could save you or your company hundreds of thousands of dollars, hours of frustration, and even eliminate risks for your career as a manager. But most importantly, I will share my unique perspective that will give you more context and guide you in making decisions and enrich your existing knowledge about CRM. Make sure to subscribe to my channel not to miss my next videos, and hit like if you enjoy what I'm doing. Let's jump to the video. Account and contact management is almost always referred to as a way of storing and processing your client data. It includes what data you store about your clients and how you share it with your employees, and most importantly, how you keep that data updated. Accounts refer to companies. Contacts refer to people. I will touch on this more later. Account and contact management is used by corporations and small to medium-sized companies across the globe to ensure that sensitive business information is not lost when an employee leaves the company. Every modern CRM system includes some form of account and contact management. To make it easier for you to understand the topic, let's jump to terminology. Let's start with the term account, probably the most important concept to get familiar with in CRM systems. Think of it this way: an account is basically a company. Simple, right? Well, not quite. Here's the thing. If accounts were only about companies, it would be easy. But when we are talking about customer relationship management, the relationship themselves can get a bit more complicated. For example, you might have one company that acts as a buyer, but another company that is entirely payer. Essentially, it's one client, but you are dealing with two separate organizations. And let's say your contract only mentions the buyer. Even so, you still need a way to keep track of the payer internally. This is where linked accounts come in. In a CRM system, you can create two accounts, one for the buyer and one for the payer, and connect them. That way, you can keep everything organized while staying on top of both relationships. That's just one of many examples of why accounts are called accounts instead of clients or companies. Now, let's talk about account types, which are really useful if your business deals with more complex sales processes. Let's use Coca-Cola as an example. You might have one account that represents the main client, Coca-Cola headquarters, for example. Then you could create additional accounts for specific entities like Coca-Cola Netherlands or Coca-Cola Delaware to represent delivery addresses or payers. This kind of setups keeps your data clean and organized. It's especially handy when you're dealing with large organizations that have lots of moving parts, like different people, for example, which leads us to our next term, contacts. But before we jump to contacts, a quick shout out to the sponsor of today's video, Monthly, my Salesforce consulting company. We help businesses like yours organize accounts, manage contacts, and make CRM simple and effective. We assist our clients in configuring complex account hierarchies and provide guidance on using Salesforce out-of-the-box features. If you need a little help, some advice, or just a pair of understanding ears, well, you know the game, link in the description below. Let's talk about contacts. Simply put, contacts are people. In a CRM system, a contact represents any individual whose information you need to store. This could include your client's employees, decision makers, or even delivery drivers. Basically, anyone involved in a business relationship. Different CRM systems might handle contacts slightly differently, but the core idea remains the same. You can relate contacts to accounts. For this explanation, let's stick with Salesforce as an example. In Salesforce, you have two main options for relating contacts to accounts. A single account, a contact is linked to just one account, or multiple accounts. A contact can be linked to several accounts using a feature called contacts to multiple accounts. Which option you choose depends on the nature of your business and the rules you establish for your CRM. Now, you might be wondering, what happens if buyers aren't businesses but private individuals? That naturally leads us to our next term, person accounts. You guessed it. Person accounts are solutions for businesses that work with individual buyers. Let me give you an example from my own experience. A kitchen manufacturer. This company sold kitchens to two types of customers, business buyers and individual consumers or consumers. For situations like this, Salesforce offers a feature called person accounts. What makes this feature unique is that it creates an exception in CRM system. A person becomes both an account and a contact at the same time. It gives you the flexibility to treat individual buyers like companies for reporting purposes. For instance, you can generate a report on that individual as though they were an account, and vice versa. You can handle their data as though they were a contact. Here's an interesting case I worked on where we used person accounts heavily. A client needed to store information about both students and parents. They were selling courses for students, but the parents were always the ones that were making payments. They needed to track both sets of data. All course materials and updates were sent to students, while scheduling and payment communications were sent to their parents. What's even more interesting was how we linked those accounts using CRM standard features. This leads us to our next topic, parent-child relationships in CRM. Despite its name and the example I just gave, a parent account isn't specifically designed to track literal parents and children. Instead, it's used to represent hierarchies in account organizations. You could use it for tracking actual parent-child relationship, but most companies rely on this feature to map parent companies and their subsidiaries. It's also commonly used to define which account serves as a main account in a CRM system. The term parent company is something most of us recognize in a business context. In a CRM, it's essentially the same concept but with added flexibility. Parent accounts allow you to relate one account to another, defining which account is superior in the relationship. This structure is invaluable for businesses with complex organizational relationships. But parent accounts are just one type of relationship you can create between accounts, which brings us to our next term, related records. As the term suggests, related records are records that are directly connected to an account. In a CRM system, you can relate almost anything to anything. But in the context of account and contact management, this is one of the most critical concepts. Related records represent everything you have in your CRM that's tied to your account. Think of it this way. It's a comprehensive collection of all the information you have about that account, which includes things like opportunities, orders, contacts, support tickets, quotes, and so on. Thanks to this structure, you can gain a holistic view, or some call it a bird's eye view, of your account. In Salesforce ecosystem, we call this 360-degree overview. It's incredibly powerful because it allows you to quickly get a snapshot of all activities with a client, and then, if needed, dive deeper into specific records, for example, meetings, tasks, invoices, or anything else related to that account, all displayed in one unified view. This capability is a major reason why large corporations invest millions in their CRM systems. By consolidating client information from across the organization into a single place, they can make actionable decisions in real time. For example, if a customer has unpaid invoices, you might decide to put a hold on further sales until the issue is resolved. Or if a major client has an overdue support ticket, it could be worth escalating the matter to a senior manager to maintain the relationship. Related records are what makes this level of insight and decision-making possible, making them a cornerstone of effective CRM system. However, there would be no action taken on any account or contact if there is no one to care about an account, which brings us to our next term, account owner. Every CRM system out there has a concept of an account owner, the one person responsible for managing a specific account. You might call them an account manager or a sales rep, but the title doesn't matter. What's important is that there is always someone accountable for the client relationship. Now, I know some companies, especially smaller ones, might not have a dedicated person assigned to every account. But trust me, this is something that needs to change. Having a clear account owner isn't just a best practice. It serves a very practical purpose as well. The account owner is typically an employee and a user of the CRM system, and their role is to ensure that the client is well taken care of. But what happens if your client is so important or so complex that multiple people across different roles are involved in managing the relationship? That brings us to our final term for today, account team. The account team is a group of people working together on a specific account, each playing a different role. This is especially important for businesses where managing a client involves multiple departments or areas of expertise. Let me give you an example. When we implemented a CRM for a construction company, their account team typically included a sales representative, an engineer, a supplier manager, and for larger projects, they even added a lawyer to the team. This setup allowed the company to clearly track who was working with each client and coordinate efforts across different roles. It also helped them manage performance and distribute bonuses based on contributions, ensuring that everyone involved in a sale was rewarded properly. Now let's discuss when you should implement account and contact management. I always say to my clients that if you don't have a specific challenge or pain with managing your clients, it's probably not worth thinking about implementing a CRM yet. Before implementing any software, you should clearly understand what is your problem, what is the reason you want to implement the software. Account and contact management on its own cannot be implemented effectively. Simply put, as humans, we don't have the discipline to keep all our records and files updated and tidy without a good reason. Here's what I mean. Imagine tomorrow you decide to implement account and contact management as a standalone app for your company. What would you do? You'd ask every employee to provide a list of contacts with their clients. What would they do? They'd open their phone contact books and copy-paste the contacts. You do it once, import it into the system, and that's the last time you've updated information in your system ever. I guarantee the moment a contact at your client company changes, a sales rep will simply update the contact in their phone book, and your wonderful new CRM will never know about that. Account and contact management is always a part of something bigger. The only way to keep your contacts and accounts up to date is to make it impossible to work without having the right data in the CRM system. But again, I'm against forcing this through enforcement alone. You shouldn't create obstacles for your employees just for the sake of keeping data clean. This should come naturally. For example, when you decide to automate document generation, the system will reuse data from CRM to mail merge fields into the document. When generating an invoice, for example, CRM would use the contact and company name for the document. If any of the data is incorrect, the customer will notice it and ask it to update. The employee would then go into CRM and update the data. This approach keeps your records clean while making life easier for your personnel. Everyone wins. So, when to implement account and contact management? The moment when you are ready to introduce a CRM to solve other needs. I discussed this in the implementation section of What is CRM video. If you haven't watched it yet, I recommend you go and do that. I'll place the link on the screen somewhere here. Once you've made the decision to implement CRM, you will need to make a few decisions about your accounts and contacts. The first important decision to make is who is your customer? Sounds like an easy question, right? But it's not. If you work with consumers and one consumer always represents themselves, then it's easier. But if you have complex relationships with your customers, like the ones I've mentioned earlier in this video, this is when you have to decide how you are going to store that information. In other words, you need to decide which account record in your CRM will represent your client. For example, in my consulting company, our main account record always represents the entity where our main point of contact works. It doesn't matter if this very company is paying us or if we have a contract with one of its subsidiaries. We always consider our client to be the company where our main point of contact works. But this could be different for your company. Next, you need to sit together with your consultant and decide what reports you will need. This will impact your so-called data model. I've touched on the data model topic in the What is CRM video, which I've already linked to, but essentially the data model is about defining what fields you need on each account record. This makes it easier to generate reports and gives you the best possible visibility over your accounts. For example, if you work with multiple types of clients, you will want a field that allows you to filter those accounts by type. Finally, you will need to decide on your so-called sharing model. Essentially, this determines who sees what. In banks, for example, employees are limited to viewing only a narrow set of accounts. In less strict environments like construction companies, employees can see all accounts with all the contacts. This decision will depend on your industry, your security policies, and the nature of your business relationships. Now, let's take a brief look at how accounts and contacts appear in real system. I've taken Salesforce as an example, but other CRMs will look pretty similar or even the same. Let's open the CRM and navigate to accounts. Let's open a random account. The first thing we see when we open CRM is the so-called 360 overview. You can view the account name, contact details, and the owner of the account. Next, you can view related records to the account like contacts, opportunities, cases, which in Salesforce means support tickets, notes, and attachments. You can modify the screen to add whatever feels right for your organization. Now, let's look at the account details page. Here, you will find information like the account number, which you can use in your other digital systems, additional contact details, and annual revenue. You can also view the industry. Such fields allow you to filter accounts from the same industry, for example. This is handy when you need to send targeted marketing communications or launch a call campaign for a specific product. You can also see tasks and events related to that account. In Salesforce, if you schedule a meeting with a contact, you will see that meeting on the account. This is helpful when multiple accounts are working on the same account. Next, let's jump to the contact. It looks similar. You will see some primary information on top of the contact record, as well as related records like opportunities, cases, and notes. If I open the Details tab, I will find more contact information like fax, who uses faxes now, email, and mailing address, and so on. This information can and should be customized to each organization. You can also plan a task, schedule a meeting, book a call, send an email straight from the contact screen. And that's pretty much it. Account and contact management is the foundation of any CRM, helping you store, access, and maintain client data efficiently. Let's quickly go through what we have learned today. Accounts represent companies, while contacts represent individuals. Features like person accounts, parent accounts, and related records allow you to handle complex relationships and gain a complete view of your clients. Implementation works best when it supports broader goals like automation, reporting, or workflow improvements. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to not miss my next videos. And if you're ready to implement a CRM system or need a professional guidance, visit my company website linked in the description below. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video. Peace.